Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time we're meeting, hi, my name is Dr. Jamie. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist known as a productivity psychologist here on YouTube, and you're joining us in the middle of a 90-day full life reset. This is my weekly update, and I'm going to be updating you on week 2 of the 12-week challenge, starting with what was going on with my videos last week. First, I want to say thank you so much for all the support that you've given me on my last 7 videos. And as some of you might know, I work as a behavioral scientist. That's my regular 9 to 5. I work as a director of a human performance and optimization lab. So every now and then, my life is disrupted by some unforeseen circumstance. In my case, it was an unexpected work trip that interrupted my schedule for about a week and a half. And that threw off my schedule here on YouTube. But this gives us a chance to discuss something really important here. 90 days is a long time, and every now and then you're gonna fall off the horse, and that's totally okay. Treating setbacks and even failures as just part of the process is essential to sustained behavioral change, and it's consistent with therapeutic strategies that focus on behavioral change. Therapies that focus on changing maladaptive eating patterns or maladaptive behaviors such as problematic substance use call this the harm reduction model, and it stands in stark contrast to things like abstinence-only programs. The harm reduction model emphasizes that setbacks or even failures are just part of the process, and this type of flexibility allows individuals to have sustained behavioral change over time and decreases the amount of time it takes for a person to get back on track. So even though my life reset was set back by about a week and a half, I'm going to continue moving forward and filming these videos so that you can follow along on my journey and hopefully be inspired on your own journey toward an organized 2025. All right, week 1 was some pretty heavy stuff. We did a full life assessment, we identified values, we identified side quests or goals that we're going to be working on over the next 12 weeks, and we also developed an ideal week based on individual behaviors needed to achieve those goals and taking into account our energy levels. After we developed that ideal week, I took a week and just continued my time tracking to see how close I was able to actually execute that ideal week. So let's take a look at my calendar and see how well or poorly I did. So here is my actual calendar. I am going to shut everything down here. So I'm gonna turn off all of those. So let's take a look at my ideal week. If you're interested in how I developed this ideal week, I'll leave that video up in the cards up above. But here we see that I had my morning workouts, I had my recurring events, I also had some household chores that I had to do and individual pockets of time to work toward setting my goals. So let's quickly start by identifying how much shallow work I did at work. Now I am in an administrative position, which is like a middle management type position. And so I do a lot more shallow work than deep work. And here you'll see that I've just turned on my shallow work. So I did do emails when I said I was going to on Tuesday. I did emails around lunch, so that means I probably skipped lunch here. I worked on things for my promotion. I have to do like administrative tasks for that. It's kind of shallow-ish work. I had emails here, so a little bit earlier than I had expected, and I did a little bit more email than expected here on Friday, and just the right amount on Thursday. So it looks like I was pretty good at judging how much time I spend in shallow work and in email more specifically. Here are some meeting times, and this chunk here is consistent with the meeting time that I had scheduled. That's consistent with that meeting time. And here I had a block for shallow work and I had a meeting during that time. I had minimal deep work and I had to do some of it on Saturday, and that was just to finish up my promotion packet. I didn't do any clinical work because I wasn't in the clinic this week before I had to head out. I did do my coaching course as expected. I had no leisure time put in. More on that later on in this 90-day challenge because I know that I'm kind of lagging behind on leisure. For household activities, I cleaned up when I said I would. I did my laundry when I said that I would, and I walked the dogs during the time that I scheduled. Here for family, I did pick up the kid. I also had some additional child things. So I had grocery shopping that I added, and that's probably why I had to leave early on Thursday. So that's pretty consistent. My YouTube, I have a big chunk of time on Sunday, and on Saturday I worked on that. And then on Monday, it looks like I was actually off of work on Monday. So that's why I did a good amount of YouTube things there. I have some routine things in here, and then I have like my specific appointments or things that might disrupt my ideal week. So it looks like overall, I did a pretty decent job at sticking to my ideal week. This was a supplemental exercise that I did just so that I can check in on whether or not doing the ideal week was actually feasible and not just like an academic exercise. Like, it's all well and good that we set it all up during our last video, but if you can't actually execute that, then there's no purpose in making this like fantasy ideal. I want it to be realistic, and I think that overall I did a pretty good job. I'm gonna open up this week's just so that I can show you how beneficial it is to have these separate calendars and also these kind of routines that happen consistently and over. Let's go to this week's calendar. So here you'll see that I have some appointments that I have in this light pink color that I can turn on and off. And that is for specific events that might be a little disruptive to my regular routines. But you'll also see that I have some of these family obligations, my recurring courses, some specific shallow work that recurs, things like emails. I've already populated that into my calendar. So when I am planning my work week, which is what I'm doing today on Sunday, I actually have a good amount of things pre-populated on my calendar already, and I can identify pockets of time in which to place things that have to be done this week. Because I was away from my office for about a week and a half, I'm gonna leave large chunks of shallow work so that I can get through a week or a week and a half of emails, and I could also do all the work administrative tasks that I may have fallen behind on since I was out of the office. Having pre-populated events or tasks already in your calendar can also help you identify whether or not your ideal calendar is realistic, because the greater the movement of the items on this calendar, the less realistic my idealized week is. That movement is giving me evidence that I can't stick to this ideal week. So maybe I need to come back and revisit it and make some tweaks. And that's totally okay. In a few weeks, we'll be discussing task management systems and also how to integrate your work tasks into this personal calendar. But for now, I'm just going to be deconflicting these individual one-off appointments and leaving large chunks of white space so that I can fill in with work-related tasks on Monday. All right, so here on Monday, it looks like I'm gonna have to leave work a little early to take the dogs to a vet visit. I'm gonna move this email up here because I know it's gonna take me quite some time to do this email. I'm gonna give myself all of the morning on Friday, so just for this event. And then I know I have to commute home to pick up the dogs, so I'm gonna put that in here. Now that I've reconciled my Monday, I also changed the labeling of the individual items because I'm reserving that light pink for one-off items, but I also want to capture how much of my time I'm spending on different types of tasks. So taking the dogs to the vet are part of my household responsibilities, so I want to label it that, just so that I'm also tracking just generally how much time I'm spending on these types of events. On the 22nd, I have this mentor group, which is actually part of my coaching course. So I'm going to change that over into the coaching course. Since that mentoring group only goes until 11 o'clock, I have found a free hour of time on Tuesday. I'm gonna leave it blank since I haven't been in the office for the last week and a half. I wanna leave as much white space as possible to allow people to meet with me one-on-one or for me to handle things that I don't even know need handling just yet. I'm leaving my midday check-ins. I'm finding that about half of the time it works out for me. I check in on tracking my meals. I also check in on my Duolingo streak. So it's nice to have that 30 minutes of time. I'm going to try to be more regimented in sticking with it, or at least moving it around if it needs to be shifted, but still using it to actually log everything that I've eaten in the day so far. So I'm going to leave that and lunch in the middle. I see that I have a dental appointment at 2:30, which means that I have to leave work a little early as well. I do notice that I have to change a meeting. So I'm going to put it into my task management system, and I'm going to write reschedule. Then I have to reschedule that AO meeting. And I am going to put it in red just for this event, just so that it stands out for me. I'm going to leave it there until I deconflict that. I leave it on my calendar. I see that I won't have time to answer email in the afternoon, so I'm going to delete that. And finishing up my dental cleaning around 3:45 does allow me enough time to commute over to pick up the kid. So now my Tuesday is deconflicted. On Wednesday, I already have 2 patients scheduled from 8 to 10, so I'm going to delete that clinical hours, which is just a placeholder that I have so that I know I can schedule patients during that time. I still have 2 hours available for scheduling on Wednesday, so I'll leave that open. I'll leave my midday check-in and my lunch. If I don't have any patients scheduled by Tuesday, then I'll go ahead and free up that time in the afternoon, and I'm sure I'm going to have things to add into that as I transition back into the office. On Thursday, I have my coaching course here, my midday check-in, and a large portion of time on Thursday afternoon open for work-related items, as well as Friday in the morning and in the afternoon. There's nothing specific that I have to consider during the evenings, but there is something that I have to consider on Tuesday morning. My husband is actually going to be leaving on a road trip with his dad on Tuesday, and I'm dropping him off at the car rental place in the morning. So that is at 7 o'clock. So from 6 to 8. So that means that I will not be working out on Tuesday morning. So to make up for that, I am going to move that workout over to Saturday. Now, my son is done with cross country for the next few weeks before he starts indoor track. So that does mean that we are going to have Saturday morning off. So I'm going to move over my hygiene. I am going to leave commute over here, this event only, but also extend it out to 9 o'clock since I do have to go pick up my husband at the airport. So now my Tuesday works out, and I also have this large commute on Wednesday morning since it takes me about an hour and a half to get to the clinic. All right, so I think that my week is pretty well formatted. I do have a Halloween party on Thursday, so that means I should probably move my YouTube up a little bit from 2 to 6. All right, I feel good about this week. I know what is coming up. I know that I have the vet visit. I know that I have dental. I know that I have to drop my husband off. I'm going to be leaving work early 2 days in a row. I know how many patients I have scheduled for Wednesday. Really taking the time to think about the week ahead decreases the amount of stress and increases the feeling of calm and preparedness I have for the week ahead. And the effectiveness of my ideal week is also being reinforced because I only had minimal shifts and movements from the skeleton schedule that I started off with. Now let's talk about week 2 of the 90-day Organized Life Blueprint Challenge. This week is going to be all about getting your life in order. We're going to start by going through our piles of emails. Now, depending on how many emails you have, it might take you one weekend day, or like me, it might take you one weekend day and a few evenings to get through all of your emails. Now, my personal email had over 60,000 unread emails that I had to deal with over a 3-day period. In tomorrow's video, I'm going to show you how to deal with about 1,000 emails in 20 to 25 minutes. Then we're going to move on to old school mail or paper clutter. And I'm going to show you a system for sorting, filing, and managing things that come in paper format. Then I'm going to walk you through a process to establish what household management tasks need to be assigned out to yourself or to other people. We're going to talk about the research-backed benefits of spousal connection and family connections. And finally, why have a family meeting now with a family of 3, but I also had a weekly meeting, including a full-on agenda, even as a single person. Some of these videos will be covered in individual videos and some will come in groups. But I appreciate your patience as I roll them out since I'm just a one-person team here and I'm also going through this 90-day reset process myself. So I'm working hard to put together these videos in the event that you're going along this journey with me. If you want a preview of what we're going to be doing over the next 90 days, I do have a free workbook linked down below that includes worksheets to get you through the first 7 days of this challenge. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to this channel. If you're subscribed and ready to take on all the challenges in this 90-day life reset, feel free to check out the full playlist right here. Okay, they're done. Maybe not.